Jude stood frozen in the doorway, his damp sneakers leaving puddles on the scuffed hardwood, the scent of street-side foe clinging to his jacket like a guilty secret. He'd slipped out for coffee with Marcus earlier, just two guys sharing stories over lattes, but one lingering glance, one brush of knuckles under the table, and now here was his mother, uninvited, her suitcase still zipped by the door like a declaration of war. She clutched a dog-eared pamphlet from some conversion therapy group in her lap, her knuckles white as the foam on Puget Sound waves. "I flew all this way because I love you," she said, her eyes mirror images of his own, but hardened by decades of Bible study and bad choices, pleading. "And love means fighting for the man God intended you to be." Seattle's perpetual drizzle had always felt like a veil to Jude, softening the edges of a city that pulsed with reinvention. At 22, he'd carved out a sliver of independence here, trading the wide-open wheat fields of eastern Washington for the narrow alleys of Capitol Hill, where rainbow flags fluttered like promises against the gray. He worked odd shifts at a vinyl record shop called Echoes, surrounded by stacks of Bowie and Prince albums that whispered freedoms his hometown never allowed. Nights blurred into poetry slams at local cafes, where words like queer and unashamed hung in the air like incense. But Evelyn's arrival shattered that fragile peace, landing like a meteor in his carefully tended garden. She'd called 2 days ago, her voice crackling over the line from her duplex in Spokane. "Your aunt saw something on Facebook, Jude. Pictures from that parade last Pride. Marching with those people." The pause had been loaded, a grenade pin pulled. He'd laughed it off then, told her he was busy with a new project, a freelance gig designing app interfaces for a startup in Belltown. But deep down, he knew the truth, the photos weren't just any crowd. He was in them, arms slung around Marcus's shoulder, both of them grinning under the confetti rain, alive in a way Spokane's conservative grip had never permitted. Now, as the evening light faded into the bruised purple of a Pacific Northwest dusk, Evelyn paced the living room, her sensible loafers clicking against the floor. The apartment was a testament to Jude's quiet rebellion, posters of indie films tacked to the walls, Moonlight, Call Me By Your Name, framed by shelves of dog-eared novels from the Elliott Bay Book Company. A half-knitted scarf lay abandoned on the couch, a hobby he'd picked up from a coworker at the shop, needles still looped with teal yarn. Evelyn eyed it all with the scrutiny of a prosecutor, her lips thinning into a line that Jude remembered from childhood scoldings. "Sit down, Mom," he said finally, his voice steadier than he felt. He shrugged off his jacket, hanging it on the hook by the door, the fabric heavy with the chill of the streets. Water dripped from his hair onto his collar, tracing cold paths down his neck. He moved to the kitchenette, pulling 2 mismatched mugs from the cabinet, one chipped with a faded Space Needle logo, the other proclaiming "Keep calm and carry on" in ironic sarcasm. The coffee maker gurgled to life, filling the air with the bitter comfort of Ethiopian roast from the roastery down the block. Evelyn sank onto the edge of the couch, the pamphlet crinkling in her grip. It was titled Restoring Wholeness, A Path to True Masculinity, emblazoned with a cross and a silhouette of a man standing tall against a sunset. She'd brought it from a support group she'd joined after Dad's heart attack 2 years back, the one that had left her rattling around their old house like a ghost in her own life. "I talked to Pastor Harlan," she continued, her words tumbling out as if rehearsed on the red-eye flight. "He says it's not too late. There are retreats in the Cascades, weekends with men like you, learning to reclaim what's been stolen." Jude's hand paused on the sugar jar, granules spilling over the rim like tiny accusations. Reclaim. The word twisted in his gut, evoking memories of high school locker rooms where whispers followed him like shadows, of the one tentative kiss behind the bleachers with Tommy Reyes that ended in a black eye and a lifetime of silence. He'd buried it all when he left for Seattle, chasing the city's hum as a balm for wounds he pretended didn't fester. But Evelyn had always sensed it, her maternal radar attuned to deviations from the script: marry a nice girl, build a family, echo the life she'd scraped together after Dad's wandering eyes led him to Reno and regret. He poured the coffee, black for her, 2 sugars for him, and slid the mug across the coffee table scarred from too many late-night beer rings. "I'm not broken, Mom. And this," he gestured vaguely at the pamphlet, at the invisible noose of her expectations, "isn't love. It's control." Her face crumpled, not in defeat but in the raw ache of a woman who'd lost her husband to vices and now feared losing her son to something she couldn't name. Tears welled, tracing familiar paths down cheeks lined from years of waitressing double shifts at the diner off I-90. You think I don't see it? The way you look at those boys, the softness in your step. It's the devil's whisper, Jude. I won't let him take you from me. She reached for his hand, her fingers cool and insistent, pulling him down beside her. The pamphlet fell between them, a barrier neither could cross. That night, as the rain softened to a patter, Jude lay awake on his futon, the city's distant sirens a lullaby of chaos. Evelyn slept in the guest room, a converted closet with an air mattress and a single bulb, her snores muffled through the thin walls. He scrolled through his phone, thumb hovering over Marcus's last text, "Coffee tomorrow?" Miss that smile. The words warmed him like contraband, a spark in the damp cold. But Evelyn's presence loomed, her suitcase unpacked now, spilling sensible sweaters and a Bible onto the floor, markers of invasion. By morning, the sky had cleared to a tentative blue, the kind that made seat late lights optimistic before the next front rolled in. Jude slipped out early, claiming a shift at Echo's, but really craving the anonymity of the Pike Place market. He wandered the stalls, the air thick with the tang of fresh salmon and the chatter of tourists, buying a bouquet of wildflowers from a vendor named Rosa, her smile crinkling like aged paper. For someone special, she asked, wrapping them in newsprint. For me, Jude replied, the lie tasting sweet. He tucked the stems into his messenger bag, the petals brushing his knuckles like a promise. Back home, Evelyn was waiting, a breakfast spread on the table, scrambled eggs from the corner store's carton, toast charred at the edges, coffee reheated in the microwave. I made your favorite, she said, her eyes bright with forced cheer. But beside the plate sat a stack of printouts, articles from sites like Focus on the Family, testimonials from ex-gays who claimed redemption through prayer and persistence. We can read these together. Start small. Jude's appetite vanished, the eggs congealing on his fork. He pushed the plate away, the scrape of ceramic echoing like a gauntlet thrown. This isn't a negotiation, Mom. You can't fix what isn't wrong. His voice cracked on the last word, betraying the boy who still craved her approval, the one who'd once built Lego towers to her applause. She leaned forward, her gaze unyielding. Then prove it. Come home with me for the weekend. Meet Sarah, Pastor Harlan's niece. She's studying nursing at Gonzaga, sweet as pie. No pressure, just normalcy. The word hung between them, laced with poison. Normalcy, the white picket fence illusion she'd clung to since her own youth, marrying young to escape a trailer park in Yakima, only to watch it crumble under Dad's infidelities. Jude saw the fear in her eyes now, not just for him but for herself, the specter of loneliness if her only child slipped into a world she couldn't follow. He stood abruptly, chair legs scraping. I have to go. Work. The door clicked shut behind him, leaving Evelyn alone with her cooling coffee and the weight of unspoken grief. At Echo's, the shop was a sanctuary of spinning vinyl and muffled melodies. Jude dusted shelves absent-mindedly, Nirvana's heart-shaped box crooning from the speakers, Kurt's rasp a mirror to his frayed nerves. His boss, Lena, a tattooed dyke in her 40s with a buzz cut and a laugh like thunder, noticed immediately. Rough morning, kid? You look like you swallowed a storm cloud. He shrugged, stacking a crate of used cassettes. Mom's in town. Unannounced. Lena whistled low, leaning on the counter amid bins of folk records. The Evangelical Express from the Palo U's. Brace yourself. My ma tried the same shit when I came out, prayer circles and purity rings. Took me burning her Bible to make her back off. Jude managed a half smile, but the ache lingered. He thought of Marcus again, their coffee date a balm he'd cancelled last minute, texting a lame excuse about family drama. By closing time, the rain had returned, sluicing down Broadway's neon-lit streets. He trudged home, flowers wilted in his bag, to find Evelyn on the couch, phone in hand. I called Sarah, she said without preamble, her tone triumphant. She's driving down tomorrow. You'll love her, Jude. Brunette, loves hiking, reminds me of you at that age, all energy and no direction. The betrayal stung, sharp as betrayal from a trusted blade. She'd rifled through his life, dialing numbers from his old contacts, weaving her web while he sought solace in the market's chaos. "You had no right," he whispered, voice breaking. "I have every right. I'm your mother." Her words were a wall, unbreachable. That night, the argument escalated, voices rising over the rain's relentless drum. Evelyn waved the phone like evidence, listing Sarah's virtues: church volunteer, no tattoos, dreams of a family. Jude countered with fragments of his truth, words tumbling out in a rush: the isolation of high school, the first time he said gay aloud in a Seattle therapist's office, the tentative joy of pride's roar. But she drowned him out with scripture and sobs, her desperation a flood that threatened to sweep them both under. As midnight tolled from a distant clock tower, Jude retreated to his room, barricading the door with a chair. He pulled out his laptop, fingers flying over keys to a blank document, pouring out poetry that bled raw, lines about roots twisted in soil too shallow, blooms denied the sun. Sleep came fitful, dreams haunted by Evelyn's face morphing into Dad's disappointed ghost. Dawn broke grey, and with it, the sound of a car pulling up outside, a sensible sedan, Sarah's no doubt. Jude peered through the blinds, heart sinking at the sight of a young woman stepping out, umbrella in hand, her smile tentative against the mist. Evelyn bustled to the door, all warmth and welcome, while Jude lingered in shadows, the weight of impending collision pressing like the city's ceaseless fog. Sarah arrived with a Tupperware of homemade lemon bars and a hug that smelled of lavender soap and Midwestern wholesomeness, her brown curls pinned back with a clip shaped like a cross. Evelyn beamed from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour from an attempted batch of scones, as if domesticity could glue the fractures in their world. Jude hovered in the hallway, arms crossed over his chest like armor, his Echo's polo shirt rumpled from a sleepless night. "Jude, honey, this is Sarah Klein," Evelyn said, her voice lilting with the cadence of a matchmaker at a county fair. "Sarah, my son, the one I told you about, with the engineering sketches that could rival Da Vinci." Sarah extended a hand, her grip firm but gentle, eyes the color of hazelnut coffee scanning him with polite curiosity. "Evelyn's told me so much. Your mom's a force, flew all the way from Spokane just to play tour guide in Seattle. That's love." Jude shook her hand, the contact brief as a spark, mumbling something about traffic on I-05. He caught the flicker in her gaze, the subtle assessment: was he the awkward genius Evelyn painted, or the enigma she'd hinted at in hushed phone calls? The apartment felt smaller with her presence, the air thick with the scent of citrus and unspoken agendas. They settled into an awkward brunch on the balcony, overlooking the street where food trucks hawked falafel and boba under striped awnings. Evelyn had strung fairy lights the night before, a concession to Seattle's gloom, their soft glow casting halos on the wrought iron railing. Sarah chatted easily about her nursing program at Gonzaga, tales of late-night study sessions and patients with stories etched in wrinkles. "There's this one guy, Mr. Patel, lost his leg in a logging accident up near Bellingham. Says the pain's nothing compared to missing his wife's samosas. Makes you think about what really heals us." Jude nodded, poking at his yogurt parfait, the granola crunching like gravel underfoot. He admired her ease, the way she navigated Evelyn's probing questions without flinching: favorite hymns, views on marriage, dreams of kids with curls like hers. It was a performance he'd rehearsed in his own youth, back when church youth group was the only social scene in Spokane, trading truths for acceptance. But now, each word from Sarah felt like a thread pulling him back into a tapestry he no longer fit. Evelyn watched them like a hawk over a field mouse, interjecting with anecdotes from Jude's childhood, the time he rebuilt a go-kart from scrap at the county fair, winning blue ribbon, and her undying pride. "Always tinkering, my boy. Needs a good woman to ground him." The words landed like barbs, veiled but venomous, and Jude's jaw tightened, his fork scraping the bowl's edge. After brunch, Sarah suggested a walk to Volunteer Park, her enthusiasm bubbling like the fountain at its heart. The conservatories blooming with orchids, worth the uphill slog. Evelyn demurred, claiming a migraine from the flight, but her eyes followed them out the door, sharp as a seamstress's needle. The streets of Capitol Hill unfolded in layers, tattoo parlors with buzzing neon, bookstores spilling paperbacks onto sidewalks, couples hand in hand under shared umbrellas regardless of the sporadic mist. Jude and Sarah fell into step, her pace matching his, the conversation veering to safer shores, favorite Seattle spots, the best ramen joint off Pike. She laughed at his story of a disastrous attempt at dim sum, sauce exploding like a cartoon geezer, and for a moment, the tension eased, her genuineness a rare sunlight. But as they crested the hill, the park's reservoir came into view, its surface rippling under a breeze that carried the salt of distant Elliott Bay. Sarah paused at a bench, tracing the carved initials of long-gone lovers with her fingertip. Evelyn means well, you know. My aunt went through something similar after my uncle came out, tried every retreat from here to Portland. It broke her, but she came around. Slowly. Jude's throat tightened, the words came out echoing like a confession he hadn't voiced to her. It's not that simple. She's convinced I'm choosing this. Like it's a phase, or a sickness. He sat beside her, elbows on knees, staring at the water's dance. The vulnerability slipped out unbidden, fueled by the park's quiet sanctuary, where joggers blurred past and dog walkers tossed frisbees into the green. Sarah tilted her head, curls catching the light. No one's choosing anything, Jude. It's who you are. I get it, grew up in a house where a gayer was whispered like a curse. But love? That's the constant. Find it where it lives. Her hand brushed his arm, not insistent but affirming, a bridge offered without demand. They wandered the conservatory after, glass walls steaming with tropical humidity, orchids unfurling in riots of purple and white. Sarah snapped photos on her phone, framing front against the dome's curve, while Jude lingered by a koi pond, watching fish dart like secrets beneath the surface. The peace was fleeting, his phone buzzed in his pocket, Evelyn, texting coordinates for dinner at a steakhouse in Belltown, family time, smiley face. The smiley face mocked him, a digital dagger. Dinner was an orchestrated affair, dim lighting in a booth upholstered in cracked leather, menus heavy with ribeyes and Bordeaux. Evelyn dominated, regaling Sarah with tales of Spokane's apple orchards and Jude's high school wrestling days, omitting the bruises from matches he threw to avoid locker room scrutiny. Sarah engaged gracefully, sharing her own stories of mission trips to Guatemala, building clinics in dusty villages. Jude picked at his fillet, the meat tough under his teeth, each laugh from the women across the table a reminder of the role he couldn't play. As plates cleared, Evelyn leaned in, her wine glass stem twirling like a scepter. Sarah mentioned a church picnic next month, back home. Jude, you should come. Clear your head, get some fresh air away from this city's distractions. The word dripped disdain, aimed at the drag bar visible through the window, its marquee promising karaoke queens in glittering script. Jude's fork clattered, drawing eyes from adjacent tables. Distractions? You mean my life? His voice rose, low but laced with thunder, the dam cracking. Sarah shifted uncomfortably, signaling the waiter for the check, but Evelyn pressed on, her face flushing with the wine's warmth. It's for your own good. Sarah sees it too, she's open-minded, but grounded. You need that. Sarah interjected softly, Evelyn, maybe we slow down. But Jude was on his feet, napkin tossed like a white flag of surrender. Grounded? Like burying who I am under prayers and picnics? I'm gay, Mom. Gay. And I'm done pretending for your comfort. The words exploded, raw and irrevocable, hanging in the air like smoke from a flare. The restaurant hushed, forks pausing mid-air, as Evelyn's face drained of color. Sarah reached for her, murmuring apologies, but Jude was already moving, weaving through tables toward the exit, the bell above the door jangling like alarm bells. Outside, Belltown's night pulsed, street musicians strumming covers of Fleetwood Mac, couples spilling from bars in laughter and longing. He leaned against a lamppost, chest heaving, the cool air a slap to his fevered skin. His phone lit up, texts from Sarah, I'm so sorry. Call if you need. Then Evelyn, come back. We can talk. But he silenced it, hailing a lift to a dive bar on Pike, the kind with sticky floors and jukebox anthems. Inside, the crowd was a mosaic of Seattle's underbelly, leather vests, glittered cheeks, hands intertwined without fear. Jude ordered a whiskey neat, the burn steadying his shake, and lost himself in the thrum, eyes scanning for a face that might anchor him. Marcus was there, unexpectedly, nursing a beer at the end of the bar, his dark hair tousled from the wind, flannel shirt rolled to elbows revealing forearms inked with geometric patterns. Their eyes met across the haze, a pull like gravity. "Heard you had a rough one," Marcus said, sliding onto the stool beside him, voice low over the din of Dancing Queen. Jude exhaled, the confession spilling, the brunch, the walk, the dinner detonation. Marcus listened without interruption, his hand finding Jude's under the bar, thumb tracing circles on knuckles, a silent vow. "You're brave as hell," he murmured, leaning close enough for Jude to catch the scent of sandalwood and rain. "Most guys I know would have folded." They talked until last call, words weaving into the night, Marcus's own coming out at 19, disowned by his Tacoma family but reclaimed by a chosen auntie in the art scene, Jude's poetry fragments, shared haltingly from his phone. When the bartender called time, Marcus walked him home, their shoulders brushing under shared streetlight glow. At the apartment door, Evelyn's silhouette loomed in the window, a sentinel in defeat. "Text me tomorrow," Marcus asked, his smile a beacon. Jude nodded, pulling him into a hug that lingered, bodies aligning like puzzle edges. "Yeah. Tomorrow." Inside, Evelyn waited, eyes red-rimmed, the steakhouse remnants cleared away. "She's gone. Apologized for everything." Her voice was small, stripped of armor. "Good," Jude said, not unkindly, but firm. He brushed past to the bathroom, splashing water on his face, staring at his reflection, eyes bright with the night spark, jaw set in quiet resolve. For the first time, the man in the mirror didn't flinch. But sleep evaded him again, Evelyn's muffled sobs filtering through the wall like Morse code for regret. Morning brought a fragile truce, coffee shared in silence, her offering a tentative smile over toast. "I booked a therapist. Neutral ground. For us both." Jude paused, mug halfway to lips. Neutral. A word pregnant with possibility, or peril. He agreed, the session set for a counselor in Fremont, neutral turf amid the neighborhood's troll sculptures and houseboats. As he left for work, the sun broke through clouds, gilding the sound in gold, a rare mercy. At Echoes, Lena pulled him aside amid the afternoon rush, a customer browsing Sufjan Stevens LPs heard from a birdie you dropped the G-bomb at dinner. "Proud of you, kid. Now, what's next?" Jude shelved a crate of jazz, Coltrane's saxophone wailing from the speakers. "Therapy. And maybe seeing where this thing with Marcus goes." Lena grinned, clapping his shoulder. "That's the spirit. Love's the best rebellion." Evening fell with a text from Marcus, poetry slam at the Hugo House. 8 p.m. Jude's fingers flew in reply, heart lifting like a kite on the breeze. He arrived early, the venue's brick walls humming with anticipation, chairs scraping as audience gathered. Marcus saved him a seat, their thighs pressing in the dim row, a current humming. The slam unfolded in verses of heartbreak and hope, a trans poet on body maps, a queer dad on bedtime stories rewritten. When Marcus took the stage, his poem, a raw elegy to lost fathers and found brothers, drew whoops and snaps. Jude's chest swelled, tears pricking as Marcus caught his eye midline, dedicating the close to the guy who makes storms feel like home. After, they walked the waterfront, ferry horns moaning in the distance, stars pricking the velvet sky. Marcus stopped under a viaduct, graffiti blooming like urban wildflowers. "I like you, Jude. A lot. Mess and all." The kiss came natural, rain-kissed and urgent, lips meeting with the hunger of withheld breaths. Jude melted into it, hands fisting Marcus's shirt, the world narrowing to heartbeat and heat. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, laughter bubbling in the space between. Back home, Evelyn was asleep, the therapist's card on the table like an olive branch. Jude pocketed it, slipping into bed with the taste of possibility on his tongue. But dawn brought shadows, a voicemail from Pastor Harlan, Evelyn's ally, urging intervention before it's too late. The war, it seemed, was far from won. The therapist's office in Fremont nestled above a vintage toy shop, its waiting room cluttered with board games and faded issues of The Stranger, Seattle's alt-weekly Bible of the unconventional. Jude arrived 10 minutes early, fingers drumming the armrest, the scent of patchouli from a previous client clinging to the air. Evelyn bustled in 5 minutes late, her coat dusted with the morning's drizzle, clutching a thermos of chamomile tea like a talisman. Dr. Reyes, mid-40s, Latina with a warm smile and wire-rimmed glasses, greeted them in a voice like aged whiskey, smooth and unhurried. Her space was a cocoon, bookshelves groaning under tomes on family dynamics and queer theory, a ficus tree unfurling leaves toward the skylight. "We're here to listen," she said, settling into a worn leather chair, notebook balanced on knee. "No judgments. Just space." Evelyn launched first, words armored in politeness. "It's the city, doctor. All this tolerance. It's confusing him. Back home, we had structure, church, community. Jude was thriving until he left." Her eyes flicked to him, pleading for contradiction, but Jude stared at the rug's geometric weave, tracing patterns like escape routes. Dr. Reyes nodded, pen scratching softly. "Thriving how, Evelyn? And Jude, what's your take on that structure?" He shifted, the chair creaking under him. It was a cage. Polite, but locked. I couldn't breathe without apologizing for existing. The words hung, raw as peeled skin, and Evelyn flinched, her thermos cap twisting tighter. The session unraveled slowly, threads of memory pulled loose, Evelyn recounting Dad's deathbed regrets, his whispered wish for Jude to carry on strong, Jude voicing the isolation of Spokane's endless winters, where snow muffled cries for authenticity. Dr. Reyes guided gently, probing the fear beneath Evelyn's resolve, the terror of legacy lost, of a son adrift in a world she'd been taught to fear. By hour's end, tears streaked both their faces, Evelyn's hand hovering near his before retreating. "I just want you safe," she murmured in the hallway, rain pattering on the awning above. "Safe's not the same as free," Jude replied, voice thick. They parted with a hug, awkward, but genuine, the first in years without undercurrents of agenda. Emboldened, Jude texted Marcus on the bus ride home, the 62 rumbling over the Aurora Bridge, Fremont's troll sculpture winking below. Therapy wasn't a disaster. "Dinner tonight?" "My treat, tacos at that truck on 12th. Marcus's reply pinged instant, "Hell yes. Wear that hoodie, makes your eyes pop." The evening unfolded like a reel of stolen frames, rain-slicked streets reflecting taqueria lights, old pasta sizzling on the grill, lime wedges squeezed over heaps of cilantro-fleck pork. They ate on a curbside bench, elbows bumping, Marcus's knee pressed warm against Jude's. Conversation flowed easy, his graphic design gigs for local bands, Jude's latest poem about bridges not built. Laughter punctuated bites, Marcus mimicking a client's diva meltdown, Jude countering with a botched tattoo story from Lena's shop. As night deepened, they wandered to Gas Works Park, the old gasification plant skeleton silhouetted against the lit skyline, picnic blankets spread under a quilt of stars. Marcus unpacked a thermos of spiked hot cider, the cinnamon steam curling like secrets. To firsts, he toasted, clinking plastic cups, his free hand finding Jude's in the dark. Their second kiss ignited slower, exploratory, lips parting to taste spice and sweetness, hands mapping shoulders and waists with tentative reverence. Jude's pulse thrummed, a baseline to the distant hum of I-5 traffic. Marcus pulled back first, breath ragged, eyes dark pools. "You're killing me, Harper." "In the best way." Jude's laugh was breathless, fingers threading Marcus's hair. "Harper? That's new. Fits you. Sharp, sturdy." Marcus traced his jaw, thumb lingering on the pulse point. They talked until the cider chilled, vulnerabilities bared like offerings, Marcus's fear of fleeting connections in a city of transients, Jude's dread of Evelyn's next salvo. Home brought realities chill, Evelyn in the kitchen, stirring soup with mechanical focus, radio tuned to a Spokane station crooning country ballads. "Good session?" she asked, ladle pausing. "Yeah. Productive." Jude hung his jacket, the fabric carrying Marcus's cologne like contraband. She nodded, portioning bowls with care. "I called Harlan after. He suggested a family retreat, 3 days in the Olympics. Nature heals, he says. Jude's spoon clattered, broth sloshing. Mom, no. That's not healing, that's ambush. Her eyes welled, spoon trembling. It's love, Jude. Can't you see? The argument simmered low, accusations traded over cooling soup, her clinging to Faith's flotsam, him pushing for space she equated with abandonment. It ended in stalemate, Evelyn retreating to her room, Jude to his laptop, fingers flying into a poem that burned, verses of root severed, blooms in barren soil. Morning fractured the truce, a package on the doorstep, unmarked but heavy with intent. Inside, books from Evelyn's group, Coming Home, testimonies of freedom from homosexuality, spines creased from her readings. A note in her script, for us to share. Progress starts with pages. Jude's stomach knotted, the tomes thudding to the floor like indictments. He confronted her mid-coffee, voice steady despite the quake. This stops. No more books, no retreats. Or you go back to Spokane. Evelyn's cup trembled, liquid sloshing. You're choosing them over me. I'm choosing me. The door slammed behind him, echoing his resolve. Work blurred in a haze of customers and crates, Lena's knowing glances a lifeline. Rough waters, she asked, handing him a rag for a spilled display of Patsy Cline. Tsunami. He wiped vinyl sleeves, mind replaying the notes loops. Afternoon brought Marcus, unexpected, bag slung over shoulder with sketchpads peeking out. Lunch break invasion. Thai place around the corner, pad see you on me. They ate in the shop's back alley, rain sheltering under an overhang, noodles steaming between them. Marcus sensed the storm, coaxing details with patient questions. She's scared, man. But that's her baggage, not yours. Jude nodded, fork twirling rice. Feels like mine, though. Always has. Marcus's hand covered his, steady. Then let's lighten it. Art walk tonight, galleries in Pioneer Square. My treat for the poetry high. The walk was a revelation, brick warehouses reborn as canvases, walls alive with murals of mythic figures entwined, abstract swirling in queer-coded blues and pinks. Marcus narrated like a descent, his passion infectious, pulling Jude into discussions with artists over cheap wine. One piece, a silhouette of two men dancing under storm clouds, drew them close, Marcus's arm slipping around Jude's waist in the crowd's anonymity. You're glowing, Marcus whispered later, as they traced the viaduct's graffiti-lit underbelly, trains rumbling overhead like approving gods. Jude leaned into him, the contact electric. You do that. Their night deepened at Marcus's loft in So-Do, a converted warehouse space with exposed beams and walls papered in banned flyers. Exposed brick warmed under string lights, a turntable spinning Nina Simone's Velvet Ache. They cooked haphazard pasta, basil wilting in olive oil, garlic popping in the pan, laughing over singed edges. Dinner led to couch, bodies curling like questions answered, kisses evolving from tentative to tidal. Clothes shed in layers, Marcus's hands reverent on Jude's skin, mapping freckles like constellations. Beautiful, he breathed, against collarbone, hip, thigh. Jude arched, gasp swallowed in the dim, the world reduced to touch and timbre. Vulnerability crested with release, afterglow a tangle of limbs and whispers, fears voiced, dreams sketched in the sweat-damp sheets. Morning light filtered through industrial windows, coffee brewing as Marcus sketched idly, pencil capturing Jude's sleep-tousled form. Stay, he murmured, but Jude's phone buzzed insistent, Evelyn, texts escalating, where are you? Harlan's worried. Please. Guilt twisted, sharp as withdrawal. He dressed quietly, kissing Marcus's temple. Work calls. But tonight, your place again. Always. The door clicked soft behind him. Home confronted with silence, Evelyn gone, a note on the fridge, seeing friends. Be safe. Relief mingled with ache, the apartment echoing empty. Jude showered, steam clouding the mirror, his reflection softer now, edges blurred by belonging. But evening shattered it, a call from Lena, your Ma's at the shop. Asking questions. About that friend Marcus. Jude's blood iced, cab racing through traffic, heart pounding to the wiper's rhythm. He burst in to find Evelyn by the counter, pamphlet in hand, leaner arms crossed in defense. "Jude," Evelyn said, voice quavering. "Who's Marcus?" "Harlan says." "Out," Jude cut, voice steel. "Now. This is my space." She left in tears, the bells jangle a dirge. Lena hugged him fierce. "You got this, kid." Alone, Jude sank to the floor amid records, sobs racking as the weight crashed. Marcus's text lit his screen, "Miss you already." But Evelyn's shadow loomed, the battle lines drawn deeper. The fallout from the shop confrontation rippled like aftershocks through Jude's days, Seattle's autumn deepening into gales that whipped Elliott Bay into froth. Evelyn holed up in the apartment, her presence a passive siege, meals left covered on the stove, laundry folded with military precision, but conversations clipped to weather reports and grocery lists. Jude moved through it like a ghost, work his anchor, Marcus his North Star. Nights at the loft became ritual, Marcus's space a haven of exposed ducts and herb pots on sills, the air rich with sage and simmering sauces. They'd cook, Jude chopping onions with increasing skill, Marcus orchestrating spices like a conductor, then collapse into bed, bodies learning each other's rhythms, mornings tangled in sheets scented with them. "You're my favorite plot twist," Marcus teased one dawn, fingers tracing Jude's spine as sunlight slanted through blinds. But Evelyn's silence festered, broken only by voicemails from Pastor Harlan, his baritone booming scripture like artillery. "Son, the prodigal returns when pride yields to grace." Jude deleted them unread, but the barbs lodged deep, poisoning sleep with dreams of bridges collapsing under his weight. Dr. Reyes's next session loomed, a bi-weekly beacon. Jude arrived early again, flipping through a dog-eared copy of Audre Lorde's essays in the waiting room, her words a scalpel to his doubts, "Your silence will not protect you." Evelyn entered flushed, clutching a knitted shawl against the chill, her eyes shadowed by nights Jude guessed were spent in prayer vigils. Dr. Reyes dove in, voice steady. "Last time, we touched on fear. Evelyn, what scares you most about Jude's path?" She unraveled slowly, shawl fringes twisting in grip. "Losing him. To a life of judgment, loneliness. The Bible says." "The Bible's interpreted many ways," Dr. Reyes interjected gently. "What does your heart say, beyond verses?" Tears came then, Evelyn's voice fracturing. "That I'm failing him. Like I failed Tom, your dad. He drank to drown his secrets, now you. I can't watch you drown too." Jude's chest cracked open, the rawness of her admission a mirror to his own buried grief. Dad's absence had been a void they both filled with projections, hers with piety, his with flight. "You didn't fail him, Mom. Or me. But pushing this fix, it's drowning us both." The hour stretched, words bridging chasms, Evelyn admitting the support group's echo chamber, Jude confessing the terror of rejection's finality. Dr. Reyes assigned letters unsent, pages to the other's pain, read aloud next time. They left arm in arm, the rain a soft curtain, Fremont streets alive with cyclists dodging puddles. Progress felt tentative, like first ice on a pond. Evelyn attempted overtures, a pie from the bakery on Broadway, crust flaky with apple and regret, questions about his sketches, feigned interest in app designs. Jude reciprocated warily, sharing a poem draft over tea, lines about thawing rivers, watching her reactions like weather vanes. Marcus noticed the shift, over takeout foe in the loft, steam rising like offerings. "You're lighter." "Therapy magic." "Partly." "And you?" Jude leaned across the coffee table, kissing him slow, the broth sanus lingering sweet. But crack spiderwebbed. One evening, returning from a gallery hop in Georgetown, Marcus's arm warm around his waist, Jude found Evelyn on the couch, phone to ear, voice hushed but urgent. "Yes, Harlan, he's seeing someone. That Marcus boy. I need advice, something strong." The betrayal hit like a rogue wave, Jude freezing in the doorway, keys jangling accusation. She hung up, face paling. "Eavesdropping now? Who is he to you, Mom?" "Some puppet master." Jude's voice rose, backpack thudding to floor. He's a shepherd. Guiding us. Her chin lifted, defiant. Guiding you to sabotage me. He stormed to his room, slamming the door, heart hammering. Texts to Marcus went unanswered at first, his own show in Belltown, deadlines crunching. Jude paced, drafting the unsent letter in fury. You came to save me, but you're the storm. Let me sail. Morning brought Marcus's knock, concern etched in his brow, take-out burritos in hand as peace offering. Heard the blow-up. Want to talk, or smash pinatas? Jude pulled him inside, the apartment empty, Evelyn at a prayer walk with local churchgoers. They ate on the floor, foil crinkling, Marcus listening as Jude vented, the call, the creeping interventions. She's escalating. What if she goes to you next? Marcus's jaw set, but eyes soft. Then we face it. Together. His hand found Jude's, steady. You're worth the fight. The day unfolded in defiance, a drive to Discovery Park, tires humming over the 99, radio blasting Hosier's gravel gospel. Trails wound through madrona groves, bark peeling like shed skins, the sound crashing below in symphonic rage. They hiked to the lighthouse, wind whipping hair, Marcus snapping Polaroids, Jude mid-laugh, profile against crashing waves. Picnic on a driftwood log, cheese and figs from Pike Place, wine from a screw-cap bottle. Conversation turned deep, Marcus sharing his ART's roots, sketches born from foster care drifts, ink as anchor. Love's my rebellion, he said, cork popping. Found it in you. Jude's throat tightened, the vista blurring. Scared I'll lose it. Marcus cupped his face, thumbs brushing salt-streaked cheeks. Not on my watch. The kiss tasted of mellow and ocean, urgent against the wind's howl. Back in the city, reality intruded, a letter from Harlan's church, forwarded by Evelyn, inviting Jude to a restorative dialogue weekend in Cle Elum. He shredded it in the sink, shards swirling down the drain like confetti from a failed parade. Therapy followed, letters exchanged in Dr. Reyes's glow. Evelyn's read halting, I see now my fear dressed as faith. Forgive my blindness. Jude's countered fierce, blindness is choice. See me, or lose the view. Tears flowed, hugs lingered post-session, a fragile bridge shored. Emboldened, Jude invited Evelyn to Echo's open MIC night, a low-stakes olive branch. She arrived tentative, cardigan buttoned high, perching on a stool amid hipsters and hellraisers. Lena emceed, her voice booming intros, while performers spilled guts, a burlesque poet on body love, a folk singer crooning lost loves. Jude took the stage, heart jackhammering, Marcus in the front row, nod encouraging. His poem poured, verses of maternal tempests, prodigal blooms, lover's lighthouse. The snap-clap swelled, Evelyn's face a mask cracking into awe, then tears. After, she approached, voice small. That was you. Raw. Truth hurts, but heals. Jude hugged her, bones fragile under wool. Marcus joined, introductions awkward but kind, handshake firm, smile disarming. Evelyn's eyes assessed, softening incrementally. Artist. Graphic designer. Jude inspires. The words hung, a gauntlet gentle. She nodded, retreating with a good night, but the ice thawed perceptibly. Nights with Marcus deepened, intimacy evolving, lazy Sundays in bed, sketching each other nude, lines capturing curves and vulnerabilities. Jude's sketches digitized for his freelance pitch, Marcus's feedback gold. This app's gonna change lives, yours included. But Harlan's shadow lengthened, anonymous emails to Jude's inbox, scripture-laced warnings of eternal peril. Then, to Marcus, a printed letter slipped under his loft door, Evelyn's handwriting faint, beware the deceiver in your midst. He's not who he claims. Marcus showed it that night, over pizza in the apartment, Evelyn out at a meeting. Your mom. Jude's blood boiled, confronting her return. You wrote him? Cross that line? Harlan advised. To protect you both. Her eyes darted, guilt flickering. Protect? That's poison. He grabbed his bag, storming to Marcus's, the driver blur of neon and rage. Marcus held him through sobs, back rubbed in circles. "We'll block it." "But Jude, this can't fester." Days blurred into strategy, Dr. Reyes looped in, boundaries drawn firmer. Evelyn agreed to pause Harlan's counsel, her voice quavering over tea. "I'm trying. For you." Progress stuttered when Sarah called, out of blue, voice tentative. Evelyn reached out. "Worried. Said you're spiraling. Can we talk?" Jude met her at a cafe in Ballard, fog rolling off the canal, coffee steaming. Sarah listened, no judgment, her nursing scrubs creased from shift. "She's terrified of irrelevance. But you're not her project." The talk unburdened, Sarah's hug parting gift, live loud, Jude. Home, Evelyn waited, face ashen. "I overstepped. Again. Big time." But forgiveness buddied, tentative as crocuses. Climax brewed at a family dinner Jude orchestrated, Evelyn, Marcus, Lena at a farm-to-table spot in Madrona, views of Lake Washington glittering. Laughter flowed with Pinot, stories bridging gaps, Marcus's foster tales mirroring Evelyn's Yakima youth, Lena's coming-out war stories echoing her church battles. Toasts to new chapters, glasses clinking like vows. But post-dinner, as they walked the lakeside path, Evelyn pulled Jude aside, voice low. "He's charming. But is this real? Or rebellion?" The question sliced, old wounds reopening. "Real as breath, Mom. Trust it." She nodded, but doubt lingered in her eyes, a seed of sabotage sown. Winter crept into Seattle like an uninvited guest, frosting the sound's edges and turning breaths to visible ghosts. Jude's freelance gig solidified, a contract for a queer dating app startup in South Lake Union, his wireframes earning nods from devs in hoodies and high tops. "You've got vision," the lead coder said, clapping his back during a pitch in a co-working space buzzing with whiteboards and white noise machines. Marcus celebrated with a surprise sketch, Jude as app architect, blueprints unfurling from his palms like wings. Evelyn's truce held, fragile as hoarfrost, meals shared without subtext, her knitting needles clicking companionably on the couch while Jude coded late. She even ventured to a PFLAG meeting in West Seattle, returning with pamphlets not of conversion but acceptance, her voice tentative over cocoa, stories like yours. Painful, but hopeful. Jude's heart swelled, hugging her impulsively, the scent of her lavender lotion a childhood tether. "Proud of you, Mom." But Harlan's tendrils persisted, subtle now, texts to Evelyn, progress reports. Which she showed Jude, deleting with trembling thumb. His persistent. "Like me." The betrayal crested unexpectedly, a Tuesday eve when Jude returned from a client lunch in Belltown, rain sluicing down his collar. The apartment door ajar, voices murmuring within, Evelyn's, laced with urgency, and a man's, gravelly with authority. "Harlan." Jude froze in the threshold, backpack slipping from shoulder. Pastor Harlan loomed in the living room, broad-shouldered in a wool suit, Bible tucked underarm like a weapon. Evelyn perched on the couch edge, tissues wadded in fist, face streaked. Dot must intervene decisively, Harlan intoned, voice booming off walls. The boyfriend's influence, Satan's snare. A weekend at the retreat, Evelyn. Bind the boy in prayer before he binds himself in sin. Jude's blood thundered, bursting in. "Get out. Both of you." Harlan turned, eyes narrowing like a hawk sighting prey. "Jude. We've prayed for this moment. Prayed to control me." He jabbed a finger at the door, voice steel over quake. Evelyn rose, hand outstretched. "Honey, listen, he's here to help." "Help?" "By plotting kidnaps." The word escaped hyperbolic, but rooted in truth, the retreat's isolation tales whispered in therapy circles. Harlan stepped forward, hand on Evelyn's shoulder possessive. "Guidance, son. From darkness to light." Jude laughed bitter, shoving the door wider. "Light's in my life now. With people who see me. Out." Evelyn sobbed, Harlan guiding her toward exit, his murmur scriptural shrapnel. The door clicked final, leaving Jude in echo, chest heaving. He sank to floor, phone in hand, text to Marcus, shit hit. Harlan here. Need you. Marcus arrived in 20, cab fare from a design wrap, enveloping Jude in arms that smelled of graphite and gale. Breathe. Tell me. The story spilled over herbal tea Marcus brewed, chamomile from his loft stash, Harlan's words replayed like venom. Marcus's jaw clenched, but held Jude steady. She's scared, but this? Crossover to cult. Night deepened in vigil, Jude's futon there fought, Marcus's stories of resilient aunties a shield. Sleep came fitful, dreams of chains disguised as rosaries. Dawn brought confrontation, Evelyn returned, suitcase in tow, eyes hollow. I booked a flight. Home. Need space to think. Jude's gut twisted, relief warring with loss. Don't go back to him. Harlan's poison. She cupped his cheek, palm cool. I know. But faith. It's my anchor. Without it, who am I? You're my mom. That's enough. Hug lingered, tears salting skin. She left for SeaTac, cab vanishing into mist, Jude waving from curb like a sentinel. Marcus arrived post-drop, coffee in hand. Road trip? Clear heads. They drove east, I-90 unspooling towards Snoqualmie Pass, evergreens bowing under snowlace. Cabins dotted the foothills, their rental a A-frame with a wood stove crackling welcome. Days blurred in idle, hikes through old growth, boots crunching frost, nights by fire, s'mores melting on skewers, bodies warming under quilts. One eve, snow falling soft outside, Marcus pulled a ring from pocket, not proposal, but promise, silver band etched with coordinates of their first kiss. Anchor for storms. Jude slipped it on, kissing fierce. Forever kind. Intimacy that night was sacrament, slow, sacred, skin glowing in firelight, whispers weaving vows unspoken. Morning brought clarity, calls to Dr. Reyes, boundaries etched for Evelyn's return. Back in Seattle, crisis brewed, a email from the startup, contract paused, whispers of personal drama leaking. Jude traced it to Harlan, his church ties to a board member. Panic surged, meeting with devs a minefield of sidelong glances. Marcus rallied, fight smart. Document, lawyer up if needed. His network yielded a queer attorney in Capitol Hill, consult free over espresso. Evelyn's call came midstorm, Harlan confessed. He contacted your work. Said you were unstable. I'm done with him. Coming back, alone. Relief flooded, but trust fractured. Her return was quiet, airport pickup in Marcus's truck, silence heavy as luggage. Home, unpacking yielded no pamphlets, only a journal, pages filled with her scrawl, doubts, prayers reframed, love unadorned. Therapy triangulated, Dr. Reyes mediating, Evelyn's apology raw. I betrayed you. For ghosts. Forgive? Jude asked, hand extended. Working on it. For us. Bridge rebuilt, plank by plank. Spring hinted, cherry blossoms unfurling in the U District, Jude's app relaunched, buzz building in tech blogs. Launch party at a brewery in Fremont, hop-scented air alive with toasts. Marcus's design shone, Evelyn attended, nursing a cider, her smile genuine at Jude's speech, to truths told, loves held. But undercurrent stirred, Sarah's wedding invite, Evelyn's nudge subtle or accompany her? Old times. Jude declined soft, but seed of doubt sprouted. Climax ignited at Pride planning, Jude volunteering for the parade float, Marcus on visuals. Evelyn offered help, banners, perhaps, her enthusiasm earnest. Rehearsal night, warehouse in So-Do thrummed, glitter cannons tested, drag queens directing traffic. Harlan appeared unbidden, flanked by church picketers outside, signs proclaiming repent or perish. Shouts clashed with chants, tension crackling like static. Jude spotted him through chain link, eyes locked venomous. Inside, panic, Evelyn white-faced. He followed me. Said it's my duty. Marcus pulled Jude aside, voice low. Stay in. Let security handle. But Jude stormed out, confrontation inevitable. Leave us alone, he yelled over din, rain starting to spit. Harlan's laugh boomed. Saving your soul, boy. Evelyn emerged then, voice thunder. Enough. You're the deceiver, twisting love to hate. She tore a sign from a follower's grip, ripping it to shreds, rain soaking her to skin. The crowd hushed, picketers faltering. Harlan recoiled, sputtering verse, but retreated as cops arrived, sirens wailing minor. Back inside, Evelyn shivered in Jude's jacket, Marcus wrapping a blanket. I'm sorry. For all. Hug tripled, bodies are not of survival. Pride dawn triumphant, floats rolling down fourth, rainbows arcing sky, Jude and Marcus hand in hand on the float, Evelyn marching beside, sign reading proud mom. But post-parade, in the come-down glow of a after-party in a loft, Evelyn pulled Jude aside, voice quavering. I called Sarah. Told her everything. She's hurt, felt used. Betrayal's echo, Jude's heart sank. Why now? To clean slates. But Harlan's not done. He knows people. Threat loomed, but unity fortified. Nights with Marcus were refuges, bodies entwined, futures sketched in pillow talk. Jude's poem published in a local zine, words of fractured faith and mended hearts. Crisis peaked, anonymous tip to Jude's landlord, fabricated lease violations, eviction notice slapped. Harlan's hand, Evelyn confirmed, her church ties unraveling his web. Legal scramble, attorney filing counters, community petitions flooding in. Marcus's art sold at auction for bail, metaphorical, but funds for move if needed. Evelyn's redemption arc, confronting Harlan publicly, letter to congregation read at service, voice steady over pews, love doesn't fix. It frees. Jude attended incognito, back row, tears silent as her words landed like grace. Eviction averted, but scars lingered, trust a tender shoot. Jude and Marcus house hunted, dreaming shared walls. Summer solstice brought healing hike, rattlesnake ledge, views endless. Evelyn joined, picnic packed, sandwiches, not sermons. At ledge's edge, wind singing, she spoke, I see you now. Gay, whole. My son. Jude's arms encircled, Marcus's hand in his. We heal together. Descent easy, step synced. Summer's full bloom painted Seattle in greens and golds, the city's pulse quickening with festivals and ferry rides under relentless blue. Jude's app surged in downloads, reviews glowing in app stores, finally, a space that sees us. Features in local mags followed, photographers capturing him in profile against the skyline, Marcus's logos gleaming on screens. Evelyn clipped them, fridge gallery expanding, her pride a quiet revolution. But Harlan's defeat festered into vendetta. Whispers reached Jude via Lena, church flyers circulating in Capitol Hill, decrying the gay son's corruption of a godly mother. Subtle sabotage, tires slashed on Marcus's truck, graffiti on the loft door, sinner. Fear crept, Jude sleep fracturing into vigils, Marcus's arms his only ward. His losing, Marcus murmured one night, rain lashing windows like accusations. Desperate men strike wild. Evelyn fortified, her journal entries shared now, pages of doubt dismantled, faith reframed through queer theologians borrowed from Dr. Reyes's shelf. I'm writing my own scripture, she said over breakfast burritos, salsa-staining lips. One where you thrive. Therapy evolved to family constellation, Dr. Reyes facilitating role plays, Evelyn voicing Dad's ghost, Jude embodying his silenced youth. Breakthroughs came in tears, Evelyn forgiving herself for Tom's infidelities projected onto Jude, him releasing resentment's grip. Yet crisis escalated, a call from Sarah, voice edged with hurt. Evelyn told me about the setups, using me as bait. Then pride? It felt like erasure. Her wedding loomed, invitation rescinded in subtext. Jude drove to Tacoma for amends, Marcus's truck humming south on I-5, evergreens blurring. Sarah met him at a waterfront cafe, wedding band glinting premature, eyes wary over chowder. You didn't deserve that porn play. Neither did you. Jude's apology poured, Evelyn's desperation, his complicity in silence. Sarah softened, hugging fierce. Forgive her. She's human, flawed, like us. Return North Boyd, Jude relaying to Evelyn over pie at a diner in Kent, neon open a sign buzzing witness. She gets it. But you owe her a call. Evelyn nodded, dialing from the booth, voice cracking through static. Sarah? It's me. No excuses, just sorry. Absolution granted, line cleared. Harlan's next strike landed vicious, anonymous post on a conservative forum, Jude's photo from Pride doctored with devil horns, caption, local mom's son lures youth to perdition. Shares snowballed, trolls flooding Jude's inbox, slurs, threats veiled in piety. Panic peaked, Jude barricading in the loft, Marcus fielding calls to police, non-emergency lines jammed. Evelyn arrived unbidden, face set in maternal fury. Show me. They scrolled together, her gasps punctuating vitriol. This ends now. She rose, grabbing coat. I'm going to his church. Public. Jude protested, dangerous, but Marcus backed her, let her. Armor up. Harlan's service that Sunday brimmed with flock, pews packed in a strip mall sanctuary off Aurora. Evelyn slipped in late, Jude and Marcus in shadows by door. She stood mid-sermon, Harlan mid-thunder on Sodom's fall. Pastor, she called, voice carrying clear. Your words poison. My son, gay, good, loves without harm. You've twisted mine into weapons. No more. Gasps rippled, Harlan's face purpling. Sister Evelyn, demon speak through. Speak through you. She advanced, Bible from her bag, his own edition, annotated. Your margins reek of hate. I return it. Book thudded to pulpit, pages splaying. Congregation stirred, some nodding, others murmuring exodus. Harlan sputtered, deacons intervening, but Evelyn held ground, Jude's hand finding hers in the fray. Exit chaotic, media sniffing, local news vans idling outside, reporters thrusting mics. Mrs. Harper, on the record. Love wins, she said simply, camera flash popping. Headlines bloomed, mother confronts pastor in gay son standoff. Support poured, emails from ex-flock, PFLAG invites, a queer youth group seeking her story. Backlash hit Harlan, board ousting, church splintering. He vanished to a sabbatical in Idaho, whispers of lawsuits. Evelyn Starr rose reluctant, podcast invites, her voice steady in recordings Jude played over dinner, Marcus's lasagna bubbling. You were fierce, he toasted, fork raised. Scared spitless. She laughed, first genuine in months. Jude's app benefited tangential, download spiking post coverage, Harper's mom effect joked in Slack channels. He and Marcus celebrated with a getaway, San Juan Island's ferry, bikes rented for Lopez's quiet roads. Orca spotting off Lime Kill, whales breaching like affirmations. Nights in a driftwood cabin, lovemaking to waves lullaby, bodies etched deeper in memory. Return heralded autumn's turn, leaves carpeting Cal Anderson Park. Jude proposed cohabitation casual, over coffee at Victrola, steam curling. Move in? Loft's got space. Marcus grinned, kissing knuckles. Yes. Keys tomorrow. Evelyn's reaction mixed, pride tinged with pang. Nesting already? My boy's grown. She helped pack, folding Jude's hoodies with care, slipping in a quilt from Spokane, hand-stitched, rainbow threads hidden in patterns. Move day chaos, boxes labeled in Marcus's neat script, Lena hauling amps like barbells. Evelyn directed traffic, her sedan loaded for storage unit runs. Toast at dusk, Prosecco on the loft's fire escape, city lights winking below. Intimacy milestone, first fight, minor, Jude's late nights coding clashing Marcus's deadline stress. Word snapped over cold takeout, you vanish into screens. And you retreat to sketches. Storm passed in bed, apologies whispered, make-up sex a fierce reclamation. We're learning, Marcus said after, fingers laced. Evelyn dated tentative or a widower from PFLAG, coffee dates yielding blushes. Jude teased gentle, spill, mom. He's kind. Reads poetry, yours, even. Her wink conspiratorial. Holidays loomed, Thanksgiving a test, Evelyn hosting, Marcus's auntie invited, drag performer extraordinaire, sequin sparkling. Table groaned with turkey and tofurkey, stories clashing cultures, auntie's Vegas tales against Evelyn's orchard yarns. Laughter dominated, pie sliced equitable. Post-feast walk in Green Lake, leaves crunching, hands linked in pairs, Jude Marcus, Evelyn auntie tentative. Families chosen, auntie declared, arms slung. Winter solstice brought reflection, Dr. Reyes's group session, circle of families like theirs, tears, triumphs shared. Evelyn's closing, I fixed nothing. But I learned to let go. Jude's app hit milestone, 100K users, gala in Southlake, tuxes rented. Evelyn in emerald gown, beaming as Jude accepted award, to loves that speak louder than fear. After party intimate, loft, friends crammed, vinyl spinning RuPaul anthems. Dance floor cleared, Jude pulling Evelyn into twirl, steps clumsy, joy pure. But undercurrent stirred, Harlan's return rumored, new ministry in Everett, reformed facade. Flyers surfaced again, subtler, protect our youth. Jude ignored, but anxiety gnawed. Marcus countered with plans, road trip south, Lars warmth for New Year's. Evelyn joined partial, train to Portland stop, her own adventures budding. Farewell dinner, dim sum in ID, steamers hissing secrets. Crisis micro, flat tire en route, rain pounding ice 5, Marcus's calm cracking. Universe hates us. Jude laughed, roadside assistance on speaker. Or tests us. Wait turned intimate, backseat tangle, windows fogged. LA dawned palm fronded, Venice Beach boardwalk their playground, street performers juggling fire, murals exploding color. Hotel room ocean view, night salty with sex and sangria. Resolution whispered on Santa Monica Pier, Ferris wheel creaking ascent. Whatever Harlan throws, Marcus said, city lights sprawling below, we're solid. Jude nodded, ring glinting. Unbreakable. Return north healed, snow dusting Olympics. Evelyn's update, Harlan's church shuttered, her widower official, dinners, Jude. Real ones. Spring equinox, housewarming, loft blooming plants from friends. Poetry reading Jude headlined, Evelyn in front row, snapping proud. Climax's echo faded, but growth rooted deep, Jude's novel drafted, Marcus's exhibit booked, Evelyn's memoir outline, from fixing to freeing. Summer solstice encore, same ledge, picnic evolved, wine upgraded, stories layered. Evelyn's toast, to voices louder than storms. Sunset gilded, bonds iridescent. Autumn's palette deepened Seattle's veins, maples igniting Broadway in fire-kissed arches, the air crisp with espresso and earth. Jude's novel manuscript landed an agent, small press in Portland, queer-focused, edits a labor of love traded over Zoom calls with coffee stains on notes. Marcus's exhibit opening loomed at a gallery in Pioneer Square, canvases alive with their shared motifs, bridges arched in ink, lovers silhouetted against tempests. Evelyn's life unfurled parallel, memoir classes at Hugo House, her widower, Elliot, a retired teacher with a penchant for fly fishing, becoming fixture at Sunday brunches, his laugh a bass counterpoint to her alto anecdotes. His steady, she confided to Jude over pie at her new studio apartment in Queen and views sweeping to the Olympics. Like your dad should have been. Jude squeezed her hand, the cafe's chatter a buffer. You deserve that. Harlan's spectre lingered faint, his Everett venture folding under scandals, ex-members suing for emotional distress, headlines fading like old newsprint. Evelyn testified peripherally, her voice steady in deposition, he preyed on fears. Mine included. Closure came quiet, a weight lifted, allowing her to exhale. But internal storms brewed for Jude, imposter syndrome gnawing as novel deadlines loomed, nights pacing the loft's exposed beams while Marcus sketched in lamplight. "You're brilliant," Marcus insisted one dawn, pulling him back to bed, lips brushing temple. "Doubts are liars." Therapy anchored, Dr. Reyes's sessions now dyadic, Jude and Marcus navigating cohabitation's micro-frictions, laundry divides, creative clashes. Communication's the glue, she advised, homework in active listening over walks in Discovery Park, salmon spawning in creeks below. Evelyn's integration deepened, joining a writing group with queer elders, her stories read to nods and snaps, vulnerability a bridge. She dated Elliot Public, Pride Float volunteer together, her sign ally in progress, his arm supportive. Crisis crested subtle, Jude's novel excerpt published in a lit mag, backlash from conservative corners, trolls dredging old Harlan dirt, reviews laced with agenda. Sales dipped initial, Jude spiraling in the loft, laptop slammed shut. Marcus intervened fierce, ART's not safe. It soared. He rallied friends, Lena hosting a reading at Echoes, turnout swelling aisles, snaps drowning detractors. Evelyn emceed surprise, voice warm, "My son's words healed us. Listen." Applause thundered, Jude's reading cathartic, passages of Maternal Wars 1, Love's Defiant. Bookings followed, tours sketched. Thanksgiving redux, expanded table, Elliot carving turkey, auntie in full regalia, Marcus's foster siblings video calling from Tacoma. Toasts to found kin, plates passed in harmony. Winter's grip softened early, anomalous warmth teasing crocuses. New Year's Eve, loft party, balloons helium-lifted dreams, countdown to midnight kissed in confetti snow. Marcus's exhibit opening, gallery aglow, patrons milling amid abstracts, Jude's eyes in blues, their hands intertwined in oils. Evelyn arrived on Elliot's arm, dress sapphire, beaming as critics clustered. "Stunning," she whispered to Marcus, hugging tight. "You capture him." Sales buzzed, champagne flowed, after party spilling to bars where drag queens crowned them couple goals. Spring birthed milestones, Jude's novel launch at Elliott Bay, Stack signing steady, Evelyn first in line, inscription to the mom who listened. Reading drew tears, Q&A delving depths, her hand raised, pride's in progress. Marcus proposed casual, post-reading over ramen in Belltown, ring simple, coordinates of the ledge etched. "Marry me?" Storms and all. Jude's yes breathless, kiss sealing amid steam. Evelyn's reaction joy, Elliot and I we're engaged too. Double ceremony. Laughter sealed, plans bubbling. Summer solstice pilgrimage, rattlesnake again, quartet now, Elliot's quiet humor grounding. Picnic lush, wine toasting louder loves. Descent, Jude lingered at trailhead, journal open, poem unfinished, lines of arcs completed. Harlan's final whisper, letter to Evelyn, postmarked Boise, apology curt, found my path. She burned it in the loft sink, ashes swirled down with goodbye. Healing's arc crested, Jude's tour west, Marcus tagging, Evelyn house sitting with Elliot, memoir submitted. Fall equinox, wedding duel, backyard in Queen Anne, arches woven wildflowers, efficient queer elder. Vows exchange tandem, Jude Marcus's through gales, Evelyn Elliott's steady streams. Reception potluck, Lena's ribs, auntie's cake, dancing under strings, rain holding off miracle. Honeymoon north, cabin in the San Juans, kayaks cutting glassy inlets, night star blanketed. Return rooted, loft expanded, nursery sketched tentative, adoption dreams whispered. Evelyn's memoir published small, launch intimate, her reading voice unbroken, from conviction to conviction, in love's truth. Jude's forward, she fixed nothing. Freed everything. Years blurred montage, kids adopted, twin boys, dark curls like Marcus's, energy boundless. Family hikes, pride floats generational. Evelyn's grandparenting fierce, story hours with queer fables, Elliot's fishing lessons. Jude's second novel, Marcus's gallery permanent. Anniversary solstice, ledge eternal, circle complete, sunset gilding vows renewed. Love spoke loudest, echoing beyond storms, roots deep in soil once barren.